Okay. Whew. Today's meal are leftovers. Today's meal is leftovers. That's proper English, Max. Am I even recording? There we go. How do I calm my mind? This is, I think, one of the more common questions that a lot of people may ask themselves because your mind is constantly racing. There are things you're always thinking about. You may be worried about a lot of things. I have to take a pause, tell you that we need to take a step back. What is it that you actually want? The term calm, like I want to calm my mind. I want to be more happy. I want to not be as sad. I don't want to be depressed anymore. These are all great terms when we're just chatting with friends or normal people, as opposed to unnormal people, to express the things that are going on in our lives. But when it comes to trying to fix something, we need to get a little bit more specific. And especially with all of the literature that's finally now out there, we are able to really dissect and understand exactly what's causing distress in your life. And by becoming more precise and more discreet with certain things, we can target the problem areas. Just saying I want to calm my mind and trying to find a solution on the internet based on that one question is not going to be as effective. You're going to be doing a lot more trial and error with your stuff. Here are some things to ask yourself. What thoughts are going through your head that you don't want to think about? Can you write down all the things going through your head and can you place them in a hierarchy? What are the most important thoughts that you're worrying about? If you had a magic wand and could miraculously fix one thing to where you wake up tomorrow and the problem is just fixed, what would it look like for you? How would you imagine your day to go about? How many hours do you want to sit down at a desk at once without any sort of break? These questions are important because if you want to calm your mind so that you sit down at your desk for 4 hours straight working on a project, that's really key information because honestly, as a therapist, I may say there are better ways to go about it. To know that working for 4 hours on end is really kind of a lot. But what actually happens is that your mind wanders. It's naturally inclined to wander. It's designed to be curious and learn about the world because we perceive the world through our eyes, what we hear, what we smell, taste, what we touch. You can imagine your focus like a spotlight. Your focus is like a spotlight that is always on, that you cannot shut off. But with that spotlight, you can focus how focused you are on whatever it is you want to focus on. And you can really widen it out to get kind of a bigger grasp of what's going on around you. And based on the things that go on in our lives, we may be predisposed to just be aware of everything that's going on around us. If you are in an environment where there is absolutely no threat, and based on the sensory input that you're getting, your body determines that nothing around you is threatening, it's going to be an easier time for you to focus on the thing you want to focus on. That's why a lot of people go to the library to study, because it's quiet, it's very safe, and it's easier for you to hone your attention in on reading a textbook. Back to the main question of how you want to calm your mind down, you really have to sit down and ask yourself what it is that you're looking for. What is the end result that you want? What it is that you want to get rid of? You want to ask yourself, I want to get to Japan. How do I get to Japan? First things you're going to be doing is, going on websites, looking at flights. Maybe you're going to be asking yourself how long you're going to be staying in Japan for. What parts of Japan do you want to visit? What's the reason that you're going? Now, if you are an avid traveler, this may be pretty easy for you because you're very used to going online and getting the tickets and understanding the visa process for going to a different country. If this is your first time, it's going to be pretty scary for you and you're going to be trying to figure out what all these variables are. And that's perfectly fine. The very same way that if you have a mind that runs constantly over and over and over, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to understand the different elements that's going to calm your mind down. And everybody has a different case. That's why, as I always say, it's very important to find a therapist that you can work with that's going to get you a tailored plan for getting the end result that you want. For sake of explanation in this video, I'm just going to take a very general example that I'm just going to come up with off the top of my head, and we're going to kind of work through it. Let's say that you decided to write down all of the thoughts that are going on in your mind. And you are worried about something that happened at work. It's something at work that's getting you really frustrated. Let's say that you had car trouble and now you need to figure out how to get to work. Maybe there was a conversation that you also had with a family member and that's making you feel really down. And these thoughts are going on inside your head over and over and over again. How do you calm your mind down from these thoughts? And you imagine that the end result is going to be that maybe these events still happen, but they don't affect you as much. Or maybe the end result is you want all of these events fixed. You want to resolve the relationship that you had with your family. You want to fix your car trouble as soon as possible before work tomorrow. And then tomorrow as well, you want to go talk to your boss about what happened. That latter approach, the approach of fixing everything by tomorrow, that's going to take a lot of planning. So that's literally setting time up to decipher a plan, how you're going to approach your boss, calling mechanic shops or whatever have you to get a car available for tomorrow. That's going to take a lot more meticulous stuff. First approach of just not letting these things affect you. I mean, I don't want to say simpler, but it's going to be a much more concise approach. That's where techniques like meditation come in. That's where techniques like breathing come into play. That's relaxing our sympathetic nervous response. And just a little bit of backstory, there's probably thousands of videos on YouTube that do a much better explanation of this. You have two basic neurological responses, which is the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is that activation, that fight-flight response, and then the parasympathetic nervous system is the relaxation response. There is an alternate theory called the polyvagal theory, which is there is a third response. But the important thing to recognize is that the parasympathetic nervous response is the relaxation response. And what we've known is that the exhales of our breath tend to activate that parasympathetic nervous response. You may have heard that sighs really relax you. That's an exhale. So there's tons of breathing techniques that are out there. Ones that I like are things that are called the 4-5-6 or the 5-6-7. The main thing to remember is that your exhale has to be longer than your inhale. In theory, as long as your exhale is longer than your inhale, you are activating the parasympathetic nervous response more than the sympathetic nervous response, which is that inhale. So practicing that technique should, in theory, calm your mind down. It'll calm your fight-flight response. I might also throw out there that meditation is a very effective technique for teaching people how to calm their mind down. If this is your first time ever attempting something like this, then it's going to be very uncomfortable and very challenging for you because you're used to a very active brain. And again, that's totally fine. It's like your very first time going outside of the country. It's going to be scary, but like exposure therapy, the more you expose yourself to the things that are uncomfortable for you and you're afraid of, you're going to habituate to it and you're going to relax into it. So it just takes time. There is an app called Headspace that I absolutely love. And when I first started using it, it was free the first 10 sessions. And I love how it guides you through the meditation practice because what it does is it guides you on the breath. And when it guides that focus of yours on the breath, remember focus is a spotlight, and you close your eyes, you are moving your focus away from the running thoughts inside your head and towards something very simple, the mechanism of your breath. In practice, by doing that, you are removing yourself from your environment. If you're in a very stressful environment and you're able to put on headphones and close your eyes, that should help remove the tension that's going on in your environment. So a final note on learning how to calm your mind down. Everything that we've been talking about so far, it's becoming apparent, hopefully, that this is a skill that you're going to learn. And this is a skill that's going to be tailored to you specifically. It's not going to be a cookie cutter fit for everybody. Obviously, breathing techniques and meditation have been effective for lots and lots of people, but maybe it works for you and maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't work for you, then there's tons of other ways to relax your mind. In the video I did previously on burnout, we talked about the difference between stress and anxiety. If you're able to identify the thoughts that are running in your head, if they are more from the stress region or if they're more from anxiety region, then you can counteract that by either doing something that you want to do or doing something that's going to make you feel safe. And hopefully that in turn is going to calm your mind down. It's going to take time, it's going to take practice. And the real important thing is that you practice this before you actually need it. It's like a professional athlete in a game. Professional athletes got to their professional status not because they only practiced their skills during the actual game when it mattered. They practiced it before the game lots and lots of times, and then they debriefed after the game to see what went wrong and what they still need to work on. We kind of need to do that for ourselves too. and not wait for the actual moment when the skill is really, really useful. It kind of sucks to take time out of our day to work on those skills, but that's when we really get better. And then by the time that we actually need to use those skills, they are hopefully skillful enough to be of some effect. So I hope this video was informative. I hope you got a lot of information out of this, and hopefully it really got you to thinking a lot about certain things. Maybe that was counterproductive for this video. Hopefully it gave you some good insight and gave you more, what's the word? Agency and ownership in your own mental health, in knowing how to improve your life. Because again, at the end of the day, we are just trying to go to work, go to school, maintain our social relationships, and as long as we're able to do that, then we've kind of done our job. So in the meantime, I'm going to finish this couscous, and well, we'll see you next time.